The gates of Daehan International High didn't just open, they parted like they knew exactly who they were letting in. Children of politicians, CEOs, celebrities, all perfectly pressed uniforms, polished shoes, and smiles that never quite reached their eyes. You stepped out of the black Bentley, the late summer sun glinting off the diamond clasp of your bag. The driver didn't just open the door, he bowed. Because in this world, appearances were everything. You could feel it, the weight of dozens of eyes on you, whispers already spreading. She's here, the Han family's daughter. I heard her father owns. They didn't finish, they didn't need to. Everyone knew your father's name carried a weight that even the richest kids didn't want to challenge. He was untouchable, and by extension, so were you. You walked past the crowd, heels clicking against the marble entranceway. Girls smiled too quickly, boys straightened their posture as if you might glance their way. Even some upper class men lowered their voices. This wasn't confidence, it was dominance, and you had mastered it long before high school. Your circle was small by choice. Mina, the daughter of a tech giant, and Heejin, whose grandfather practically owned half the city. Three was enough. Everyone else, they were admirers, petitioners, or competition, and then he arrived. The deep purr of a matte black sports car cut through the courtyard noise, heads turned, some out of curiosity, others out of something sharper. The door opened and Jungkook stepped out like he owned the place. His father's empire could rival yours, and he wore that fact in the way he carried himself, hands in his pockets, a lazy smirk tugging at his lips. The kind that wasn't a smile at all but a warning. Your eyes met for the first time across the courtyard. He didn't look away, neither did you. It wasn't attraction, it wasn't even curiosity, it was recognition. He walked toward his own group, all equally dangerous in their own ways. The tallest one with sun kissed skin, another with a jawline sharp enough to slice through glass. But it was the girl at his side, his best friend, if the rumors were right, who leaned in to whisper something that made him smirk. The air between you shifted. It was unspoken, but everyone around you felt it. Queen, king, same throne, only one crown. Great, the prince is here, she muttered under her breath. You arched an eyebrow. Prince? The only one rich enough to think he can talk to you like an equal. She said, tone sharp. He walked toward the entrance, his group trailing behind, all tall, sharp edges and expensive watches. A girl stuck to his side, her laugh loud enough for you to hear over the crowd. She leaned in to say something, and Jungkook's smirk deepened. Then his eyes landed on you. He didn't glance away, neither did you. The space between you felt like a silent chessboard. He reached the stairs just as you were about to enter. Instead of moving aside, he stopped, blocking your way. Han. He greeted smoothly, using your last name like it was an old rivalry already written in history books. John. You replied in the same tone. You are standing in my way. His lips curved. Funny, I thought it was my way. Mina shot him a glare. Move. But he didn't. His gaze stayed on you like he was measuring how far he could push. First day of high school, I'm guessing you have already claimed the rooftop. You tilted your head, your smile sweet but your voice dipped in ice. I don't claim, I own. There's a difference. A flicker of amusement passed through his eyes. Guess we'll see about that. You brushed past him, the faint scent of his calling lingering, sharp, expensive, annoyingly unforgettable. As you walked away, you heard him say to his friends, just loud enough for you to catch, looks like the queen's afraid of competition. You didn't turn back, but your smile widened. If John Jungkook wanted a war, he was going to get one. The second week of school had already separated Dehan International's student body into clear categories: the elite, the hopefuls, and the invisible. The invisible kids were easy to spot, heads down, uniforms perfectly in place, trying to slip through the halls unnoticed, which was why the sound of snickering near the central staircase caught your attention. Three second-year boys, all from upper-tier families, had cornered a scholarship student, the kind of kid who probably worked part-time to afford the textbooks. One of them had kicked his backpack over, its contents spilling across the marble floor. Didn't know public buses came with Dehan uniforms, he said, making fun of him. His friends laughed. Mina glanced at you. Here, they started again. You want me to handle it? You shook your head. Words weren't necessary. You didn't even break stride. Just walked toward them, the sound of your heels cutting through their laughter like a blade. The moment they noticed you, the air shifted. Minnow and his friends faced drained of colors, their fake smirks vanishing. One of them muttered, "She's here," and bent down quickly to gather the scattered books, shoving them back into the boy's bag without another word. The scholarship student didn't even look up, just murmured a quiet thank you before hurrying away. It wasn't kindness, it was power, the kind they couldn't buy from their parents. You were halfway up the stairs when a voice called out from behind you, smooth and familiar. Wow, one glare and they run. I'm almost impressed. You turn to see Jungkook at the base of the stairs, leaning casually against the railing, his group sprawled around him like a pack of wolves. That's called respect, you said coolly, something you wouldn't understand. He shrugged. Respect or fear? There's a difference, Han. His friends laughed, the sound echoing through the hall. The tallest one elbowed him, clearly egging him on. And then there was her, the girl best friend, lounging against the wall, eyes glittering with amusement as if this was her favorite show. Besides, Jungkook continued, taking a step closer. You can't expect everyone to melt just because you walk in. Some of us don't scare that easily. You crossed your arms, matching his smirk, and some of us don't waste our time with people who need an audience to feel important. That earned you a mock gasp from his girl best friend. Oh, she's feisty today. Jungkook tilted his head, studying you like you were a puzzle he intended to solve, or maybe destroy. Careful, Queen. Keep talking like that, and people might think you are trying to compete with me. Compete? You arched an eyebrow. You would have to be on my level for that. His friend's laughter was louder this time, though you couldn't tell if they were laughing with him or at the burn you had just delivered. Jungkook just grinned. Guess we'll see about that. Rooftop, lunch break. It wasn't a request, it was a challenge, and judging by the way Natalie's smirk widened, they already thought they had won. Lunch on the rooftop wasn't just eating, it was a show. Tables arranged in perfect order, the skyline in the background, and the legacy kids seated like royalty in a court. By the time you and your friends stepped out, conversations dipped. Mina was in her red designer jacket, Hajin in diamond studded hairpins, and you in a perfectly tailored uniform that no one else could pull off. Your lunch was carried in an embossed leather case. And there he was, John Jungkook, leaning back in his chair like the rooftop was his throne, ankle balanced on one knee, a lazy smirk tugging at his lips. His group was scattered around him: Taeyong, who never stopped grinning, Jisoo the silent strategist, and Natalie perched at his side like she owned the air he breathed. The moment you stepped onto the rooftop, Jungkook's eyes found yours. He didn't look away. Queen graces us with her presence. He drawled, loud enough for everyone to hear. Mina shot him a glare, and yet somehow the air quality dropped the second you open your mouth. Taeyong laughed. Ouch, starting strong today. You set your lunch on your usual table, not even glancing at Jungkook. If you are going to try to provoke me, John, at least be creative. I get bored easily. Creative? Jungkook stood and walked toward you, each step deliberate. How about a game? You raised a brow. A game? Chess. He said, simply pointing to the board set up at his table. Winner gets rooftop priority for the rest of the semester. Hagen scoffed. You are assuming you'll win? Natalie smirked, leaning back in her chair. We all know who's the better strategist here. Your lips curved. We do, which is why this will be quick. Mina muttered. He's going to regret this under her breath. 5 minutes later, the bowl wasn't going in Jungkook's favor. His smirk had dimmed into a concentrated frown. You moved pieces with effortless precision, barely glancing down. You have been practicing, Jungkook murmured, leaning on his elbow. You gave a faint smile. Some of us don't rely on luck. Natalie nodded. Luck, please. He's been captain of the chess team for 2 years. Captain doesn't mean king. You interrupted, sliding your queen across the board. Check. A small crowd had gathered now, legacy kids, a few scholarship students speaking from a distance. Everyone was whispering. Jungkook leaned back, rubbing his jaw, scanning the board. You think you have got me cornered? You moved your final piece, placing it directly in front of his king. No, I know I have you cornered. The rooftop went silent. Then Taeyong's laugh broke the tension. She got you, man, she got you. Natalie's smile froze. You stood brushing invisible lint from your skirt. Thanks for the rooftop, John. I'll take good care of it. As you turned to leave, Jungkook's voice followed. Don't get too comfortable, Queen. Crowns have a way of slipping. You glanced over your shoulder, your smile cool. Not mine. Jungkook was in the resting room with his group. Taeyong still couldn't stop about how fine you played. Jungkook looked unbothered, as if losing against you didn't affect him, but Natalie was not happy. You let her humiliate you, Natalie said sharply, in front of everyone. You know what you should do? Slap her right there in the courtyard tomorrow. She'll never pull this ego stunt again. All the boys looked at her as if she's insane. What the hell are you saying? She looked at Taeyong. She is thinking very highly of herself. Someone needs to put her back at her place, and only Jungkook can do that. Jungkook looked at her for a long moment, then chuckled. By slapping her? Yes, Natalie insisted. Take her down a peg. That's what she deserves. Nat, I'm not in the business of hitting girls to make myself feel big. She's not just a girl. You're right. He cut her off, his tone calm but final. She's the girl. The only one here who can match me, and I'm not stupid enough to ruin that. Natalie's jaw tightened. You make it sound like you actually respect her. Maybe I do. And maybe I like having someone worth competing with. Her eyes narrowed. Worth competing with? So what am I? Just background? Jungkook's smirk faded into something sharper. You're my friend, Nat. But you don't challenge me. She does. You don't make me think 2 steps ahead. She does, and if you haven't noticed, he leaned forward slightly, voice low. That's what makes the game fun. Natalie scoffed, crossing her arms tighter. Fun for you, maybe. She's not playing with you, Jungkook. She's trying to beat you. He shrugged, the corner of his mouth lifting. Exactly, and that's why I won't destroy it, just to soothe your ego or mine. Her jaw clenched. So she's more important than me now. Jungkook's answer was simple, almost casual, but it landed like a blade. In this rivalry, she always was, and don't suggest anything so stupid after this. Natalie looked away, the words cutting deeper than she had admitted. Jungkook didn't push it, he just went back to staring at the skyline, the ghost of a smile tugging at his lips. The rooftop was deserted after lunch. Wind brushed against your hair, the sky washed in that pale golden glow before afternoon classes. You leaned against the far railing, cigarette between your fingers, exhaling smoke into the open air. It wasn't rebellion anymore, just habit. Footsteps echoed against the concrete. You didn't turn. Well, well. Jungkook's voice came from behind, dripping with amusement. And here I thought the queen was flawless. You took another drag, still facing the skyline. Guess you thought wrong. He stepped closer, slow enough to make it clear he wasn't in a rush. This is new. The untouchable Han caught doing something she probably bans her own followers from doing. He finally glanced over your shoulder. My followers don't get to know what I do when I'm not being their queen. He smiled, leaning against the railing beside you. So the Miss Perfect X has cracks. That's refreshing. You exhaled a thin stream of smoke, ignoring his stare. Don't mistake cracks for weakness, John. He studied you for a moment, expression shifting from playful to something quieter. It's not weakness, it's just real, more real than you usually let anyone see. You rolled your eyes. Save the psychoanalysis, I'm not your project. Didn't say you were, he said lightly, though his gaze didn't leave you. I just get it, having everything and still nothing. That made your fingers freeze for a fraction of a second before you took another drag. You don't know what you are talking about. Sure, I do. I know what it's like when money is the only thing holding a family together or pretending to. Your jaw tightened, but you didn't answer. He tilted his head. So, is this your rebellion or your escape? You flicked the ash over the edge, finally meeting his eyes. It's none of your business. His smug returned, faint but there. Maybe, but for the record. He plucked the cigarette from your fingers and stubbed it out against the railing. Smoke doesn't suit a crown. Before you could snap back, the bell rang. You walked toward the stairwell, Jungkook trailing a few steps behind without explanation. The rooftop door swung open and your foot landed on something sleek. It happened fast, your heels slid. Your balance went and the wall tilted, but before you could hit the ground, a hand caught your arm in a sharp, steady grip. You blinked down. The step had been coated with clear oil, invisible unless you looked closely. His eyes flickered over it, then back at you. Someone's got a death wish, he muttered. You pulled your arm free, regaining composure. It was probably nothing. You crouched, swiping a finger against it. Clear, slick oil, your jaw tightened. Who the hell put this here? You snapped, your voice echoing against the concrete. Jungkook didn't answer, but his eyes narrowed, scanning the step like he already knew. Seriously? You continued, straightening, your anger rising. Someone could have broken their neck. It wasn't just someone, Jungkook said quietly, gaze fixed ahead. Your brows drew together, but you didn't respond. He stepped in closer, his voice low enough only you could hear. Watch your back, Queen. Not all your enemies announce themselves. Then he stepped past you toward the door. Where are you going? You called after him. He glanced over his shoulder, something dark flickering in his eyes. Don't worry about it. Jungkook. But he was already walking away, his long strides eating the distance. You knew that look, cold, precise, and dangerous. Whoever had done this wasn't going to get a lecture. They were going to get John Jungkook. Natalie was leaning against a row of lockers downstairs, idly chatting with one of her friends when Jungkook appeared. His steps were slow, deliberate. Her smile faltered instantly. Cook? What's with the look? He stopped right in front of her, close enough for his shadow to cut over hers. Do you really think no one will find out what you are doing? I told you stay out of it, right? Natalie's brows lifted in fox innocence. I have no idea what you're talking about. Jungkook's gaze hardened. Oil on the rooftop stairs. Smell like your perfume. She felt her face burning from humiliation as other students looked stunned. That's ridiculous, she started. You are ridiculous if you think I'm going to let you touch her. I don't care how much you hate her. She's off limits. Natalie scoffed. Why? Because she's your precious little rival? You're supposed to be on my side. I'm your best friend. His lips curled into a humorless smirk. That's the only reason I'm speaking very calmly. Otherwise, you know I wouldn't have spared you if you weren't my friend. I'm on my own side, and I decide who gets to start a war with her. You? You're not even in the same league. Her face flushed, whether with anger or embarrassment. Jungkook turned to leave, tossing one last line over his shoulder. Next time you try something, Nat. Pray I don't catch you.